Yo, welcome back, my peoples. If you're new here, my name is Jabali Lumbuketsi, and if you're listening on Spotify, welcome to my Spotify channel. Today is going to be an interesting video because this was a video that I was supposed to release last week, but somehow the audio did not catch on. So hope and pray to God that this time it does catch on because it was actually a good video that I put out, but the audio was just not there. So hopefully this time it does. And this is basically a repeat of that last video and what you guys missed out. Well, basically, welcome back to the locker room. If you're new here, my name is Jabulini Muketi and we talk all things sports. Well, today's episode is going to be no different, but the NFL offseason in full swing and teams going back to OTAs. We are going to see who are the biggest winners and the biggest losers of this offseason. All roads lead to Pittsburgh, where the NFL draft will be happening, where collegiate students look to make their dream into playing the NFL a reality. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that post notifications so that you are notified whenever I upload a video. Well, my peoples, let's get into it. I'm going to start off with the first video. Since I like my dessert first, I'll start off with the biggest winners of this NFL offseason. And the biggest winners for me has been the Las Vegas Raiders because they have been aggressive in this offseason as well as in the free agency market. I mean, they spent huge money rebuilding their roster as well as adding Kirk Cousins to their roster, quarterback who was previously at the Atlanta Falcons and Minnesota Vikings, to their roster, which comes to me as a good move in such a sense that they hold the number one pick and they look to add another quarterback who is Fernando Mendoza. And who is the better person to lead Fernando Mendoza than Kirk Cousins, or Big Kirko, as he is called on social media. And I look forward to this quarterback room, and especially he's going to have Fernando Mendoza coming into the league. He's going to have so much help with Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's got Tom Brady, too, as a mentor who's able to look after him, teach him the ropes. And the reason why I say they're winning is because they had the worst offense in the league last season. And they fixed that by getting offensive linemen help, adding new offensive pieces, as well as adding that veteran quarterback at the helm to be able to lead them to the glory days. And I feel like for me, the way this is going to work is Kirk Cousins is going to play the first few games. And by the way, he signed a 5-year, $172 million contract, which is insane to me and which is kind of crazy. When week one comes around, I see this situation. I've seen this situation before. It's going to happen the same way at Atlanta as it's going to happen at Las Vegas, which is Kirk Cousins starting off the season, and then I see maybe like later on in the season, the Las Vegas Raiders giving the starting job to Fernando, and it's just about Fernando learning the ropes, and it's able to take the pressure off their number one overall pick. I mean, we saw it work in New England. They drafted Drake May. The first year he didn't play that much, and then second year he learned the system, he learned the way the NFL works, and he was able to take over and take them to the Super Bowl. So I do see the exact same thing happening. And for me right now, they use their cap space aggressively, and aggressively like in a good way. They were able to maximize on getting the best available players on the market and able to upgrade their squad. So this is the most improved team right now. Next team that I'd like to talk about is the Los Angeles Rams. And the reason why I would like to talk about the Los Angeles Rams is because they had a blockbuster trade happen this offseason, which they traded for cornerback Trent McDuffie, who was previously at the Kansas City Chiefs, and Sean McVay adds another defensive piece to his defense. And why this was a good move, it improves the secondary and as well as keeps the core together. I mean, you got a leader, you got a guy who's able to make plays, he's able to command that defense and hold guys accountable, which was a great move by them. And for me, this doesn't takes them to the next level. It takes them from just being contenders to being now Super Bowl favorites, because they fixed their biggest weakness, which was their secondary, especially within the Hail Mary that was against the Chicago Bears, where they went into overtime and it made the game much closer than it needed to be. So they fixed their biggest problem. Okay, the next team that I would like to speak about is the New York Jets. I mean, the New York Jets have been very quiet but very efficient this offseason. They got their quarterback, which is Geno Smith, who was at the Las Vegas Raiders, is now back at the team that drafted him, the New York Jets. For me, this was a perfect move because he gets to come back to the organization that first drafted him. He gets to play under a coach that believes in him. He believes in Geno Smith, and Geno Smith has got a chip on his shoulder to prove why he is still a top-level quarterback in the National Football League. And I feel like for me, that is a top move. And the reason why I say the Jets are winning is because they have a balanced roster upgrades. They didn't rush into free agency and just start paying guys and start bringing in, which I thought they were going to do, but actually this time they took a step back. They've been quietly making moves and they didn't panic like other teams. I think for me, the thinking behind it is that they're thinking for the future. They're thinking, okay, listen, let's start drafting players now so that we are able to build on for future success. And my verdict is they've been quiet but very efficient this offseason. The next team that I would like to talk about is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, who traded for Jalen Waddle, who was previously at the Miami Dolphins, and the Miami Dolphins have fully embraced the rebuild. They've moved on from Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, and now Jalen Waddle. So what does that tell you? They're embracing the new chapter that is in Miami, and they want to look to win the AFC Championship and eventually go lift that Lombardi in February. So for me, I feel like this was a good move because not only do they have momentum from last season, they're able to carry on that momentum into the new season now by adding a new weapon, which is Jalen Waddle. And they are pushing and they are in a win now mentality, which for me is absolutely right for this team, especially with Sean Payton as the head coach, and it gives Bo Nix another offensive weapon. And my verdict is that this was a high-risk, high-reward trade because it has a ton of upsides if it does work, but also it can have a huge downside too as well. So that's why I say it's high risk, high reward, and the team swung big and it got a huge upside. So next team that I would like to talk about are the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason why I say they are winning, because early on in the offseason, they traded for Max Crosby to send 2 first-round picks to Las Vegas, including the 2026 and 2027 first-round picks. But then the trade got rescinded, or they pulled away from the trade because of a medical issue that Max Crosby was dealing with. I remember he had torn his meniscus at some point in the season, and this was a clever move because they got a free agent and they paid Trey Hendrickson, who for me I felt like was a top-tier pass rusher in the NFL, and I felt like for me he could have added more value onto that Bengals defense, but the front office prioritized paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And for some reason, another team that I should be mentioning, the biggest losers, are the Cincinnati Bengals. So let me not give away too much onto that. But the reason why the Baltimore Ravens are still a winning team is because they still have a complete roster. You pay Trey Hendrickson, you keep your first-round picks, and you get to keep a competitive roster too as well. That is an elite move by their GM, as well as they were able to strengthen their pass rusher. They already have an elite defense. Now imagine you every week, week in, week out, you're able to put pressures onto quarterbacks, and which is insane. And another thing that stays open is their championship window. The championship window stays open for as long as they need it to be and for how long they want it to be, and they still can contend for the AFC championship. If they can get over the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes bump, they'll be good. And my verdict is that they stay a consistent contender, and they're just going to keep getting better and better from there. Losers. The next segment that I would like to speak out about is the biggest losers of this offseason. As much as they are winners, there are teams that also lose because of decisions that are being made. For me, the first one that I'm going to speak on is the San Francisco 49ers. You're probably thinking, isn't that your team, Jabs? Yes, that is my team. It hurts me. It really does to speak on the San Francisco 49ers. And you think about it, you're like, why would you speak on the San Francisco 49ers? We've not made any moves. And for me, I mean, yes, we did get Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is towards the end of his career. We need a certified wide receiver one. Especially mention our backup string quarterback, which is Mac Jones, who was able to carry this offense and give us the much needed revival for playoff hope contention. So for me, why they're losing, offense could be better and they could be making much better moves. And they took a high-risk gamble at wide receiver by getting Mike Evans. The reason why I say they took a high-risk at wide receiver is because Mike Evans had an injury-riddled season, so it kind of explains, but there's too much uncertainty for a contender. That's what I'm trying to say. There's too much uncertainty. The next team that I would like to speak on is the Jacksonville Jaguars. For me, I felt like they didn't make any impactful moves. I mean, they got into the playoffs this season, but they are still, they're still lackadaisy for my liking. They are at a standstill. When you're at a standstill, you tend to fall behind. So they haven't made any significant signings to add to their team, make any impactful moves this offseason. And I think they're just waiting for the NFL draft to come around and to be able to draft players. But for me, I feel like Josh Allen got his wide receiver one. The Chiefs are making moves. They just signed Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III. And also, you think about it, other teams in the AFC too are actually making moves to contend for the Lombardi Trophy when the end of the season comes. So, and to make that playoff push. So, you think about it too. Jacksonville has not done that yet. Another team that I'd like to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why I say the Dallas Cowboys is, I know they're America's team, don't come after me, but the reason why is because I think there's still some major holes in their roster, in such a sense that, yeah, you got Dak Prescott. I mean, every year he plays at an MVP level in the regular season, but come playoff time, he does not do what he's supposed to do as a quarterback. And now you add the fact that he just recently ended his engagement with his long-term girlfriend. So the season could go either one or two ways. We could see MVP Dak Prescott, or we could see the season just not go the way that the Dallas Cowboys hoped it would go. So, and they lost a lot of key players within this offseason too as well. And they're not making enough moves for me to say that they are going to be competitors come playoff time, because for me, it's been an underwhelming offseason so far, and I have not seen any impactful signings since they signed George Pickens, which has lost all season. So maybe Jerry Jones has got something up his sleeve that he is going to be able to give it to us. Remember, he did trade away Micah Parsons, and he did give 2 first-round picks for it. So let's see how he does there. Next thing that I would like to talk about is the Tennessee Titans. They spent a lot of money this offseason. They got their head coach, which was Robert Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator at the San Francisco 49ers, who did an absolutely amazing job for us at the 49ers, able to make a good defense out of backup players and practice squad players. That just goes to show what kind of a coach he is, and he is the coach that he works with what he has, and he works with players that want to be in that situation. So for me, I wish him nothing but the best, but San Francisco will always be your home, so I hope he does come back. But the Tennessee Titans did spend a lot of money, but it's not the fact that they spend a lot of money that I put them as the losers. Is the questionable signings that they did, or if I may put it, is the questionable decisions that they made by overpaying role players. Like, I get it, everybody wants to get paid, but you can't pay players what they are not worth, and they overpay players, in my opinion. And their strategy is being criticized across the league because they're spending big, but they're not spending smart, if that makes sense. Like, you can spend a lot of money, but you need to make your money work for you. In other sense, that's what I'm trying to put out there. So they have not made their money work for them, and it's going to be an interesting season for the Tennessee Titans, if I'm being honest with you. The reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are on this list is because of internal drama, because of trade rumors, and because of locker room concerns. What I mean by locker room concerns is A.J. Brown, best example I can put there out there for you guys. He was on the media talking about how he does not get targets, or he does not get looked at, and he's not scoring as many touchdowns as he would like, and he's not getting the ball enough. And for me, I felt like he talked about it, but then when it came playoff time in the divisionals to play the 49ers, he had a few drops, and he could not put up a performance worthy of watching, in my opinion. But he could not put up the performance that he spoke so big of, and after the game, he didn't even want to speak to the media. So for me, it's kind of those things. When you talk about locker room concerns, locker room drama, it's those things. And there's even trade rumors of him going to New England. So we don't know how that's going to work out, but the reason why I say they're losing is because chemistry issues, and I would say uncertainty at the most important positions. By the most important positions, I mean wide receivers and quarterback too as well, because Jalen Hurts has been criticized, and especially the Philadelphia Eagles organization, for their tush push, which they say is basically like a rugby scrum, which in my opinion, I don't believe it is a rugby scrum, because a rugby scrum, the way it works is that you have the big guys in front lock heads. They're not locking heads. They're just going at a collision course with one another, and then they're just pushing Jalen Hurts in there. Unlike rugby, where you have to push from one side and the other side, and you have to... My overall take is that teams that are winning are being aggressive and smart about it, such as the Raiders and the Rams, and teams are filling specific needs, such as the Jets and the Ravens, and that's why they are the biggest winners. And the reason why I say teams are struggling is because they're either doing too little, who are the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cowboys, or they're doing too much, but they're doing badly, as the Tennessee Titans. That is my biggest take on it. Road to Pittsburgh has officially started. Most collegiate teams have already done their pro days, where each and every single one of these footballers got to show their talents in front of NFL scouts. NFL scouts travel out to their colleges and were able to watch them for their pro day, which was amazing to watch. Most of the colleges that I know of have already done their collegiate showcase, and now the road to Pittsburgh has begun. And since it's draft season, I got my own mock draft, and mock draft is subject to change. What I mean by subject to change is that draft day is a crazy day. I don't know if you ever watched the movie Draft Day. I put the movie somewhere up there for my audio listeners. I'll try and see if I can put the movie in the description. But draft day is a crazy day because you got teams trading up to get their guys. I mean, last year Cleveland had the number 2 overall pick, but then the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up to get Travis Hunter at number 2. So it's all about what the team needs, what the team is looking for. They might like specific guys, but I got from 1 to 10. I got the teams in 1 is Las Vegas Raiders, 2 New York Giants, 3 New England Patriots, 4 Arizona Cardinals, 5 Chicago Bears, 6 Tennessee Titans, 7 Atlanta Falcons, 8 Denver Broncos, 9 Minnesota Vikings, 10 New Orleans Saints. Well, that is my top 10. Well, let me start with the number 1 overall pick. Drum roll, please. Well, if you haven't guessed it now, the quarterback from Indiana going straight to Las Vegas Raiders. We got Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall pick. Woo! I think that was the most obvious number 1 overall pick I have ever had to do in my entire life. Well, number 2 is the man from Ohio State, Caleb Downs, who is going to have an absolute ball in the Big Apple, and he is going to help and improve that New York secondary, in my opinion. Number 3, we got Francis Miguel, offensive tackle out of Miami, who, for me, I feel like New England need this pick because they need to protect Drake May. Number 3,